And we're on the you-know-what.
We're on The Chosen. And we are watching episodes and reviewing it. And so what we decided to do today, if you can tell from the title, is we decided to watch episode 3 and 4 and combine them. And one of the reasons we did that is because the first 3 episodes have been a lot more background build-up.
Yeah, playing off of that as other episodes go.
Yeah, getting into the biblical storylines.
Characterizations of the people.
And that's why one of the criticisms of The Chosen, especially early on, why people didn't give it time, was because, well, a lot of this stuff didn't happen. Now,
True.
Like the Mary thing happened, obviously.
Yeah,
maybe not that
parts
way.
of it did, but
But here's one of the things when I was listening to a podcast by the guy who's developing it. He says, one of the things that he has to do a lot of is to explain to people the New Testament world before they even begin to read Jesus, so they understand
which is valuable.
What world they're reading. Because a lot of times we read our world.
From our point of view, and it's not.
That's like when we say the word woman.
Yes.
And we have to always
calling
constantly,
her a woman, we have to say, he didn't mean anything.
He didn't mean that, because we would say, if I said, hey, woman, we'd be like, hey.
We'd get slapped.
But just knowing the world, knowing that it's not the same world that we live in, culture. So, first couple episodes have been building the Jewish-Roman relationship, common Jew-Roman relationship.
And some background on some of the main characters that are going to come up.
Yep.
Okay, so what if it wasn't that?
Yeah.
It would have been something like that.
Yeah. That's like today, we're going to be looking at Peter a lot today. And yeah, maybe Peter wasn't someone who's going to sell out his own brethren into the Romans, which I like on this episode. They show that he actually didn't follow through.
Yeah, he pulled it up short. Yeah.
So you really don't want to look at the offense itself of what he did. You want to look at, well, that probably is a good, at least something was happening in Peter's life when Jesus called him to make him be the one to fall down before Jesus.
Yeah. I'm a sinful man.
He needed what Jesus was offering him, those fish. And
I think he's feeling more the pressure of his sins than the rest of them.
Yes. And so I don't mind it. Could they have done it differently? But anyone, even if you were creating it, would have had to come up with some kind of precursor story of what was going on.
It's not contrary to what's going on.
And just another note before we kind of jump into our actual review of 3 and 4, people did live and were living before the pages of the Bible. What I mean by that is Peter and Jesus had 30 years of life before we meet them here.
And we, like with Jesus, we get like that much of that.
Yeah. And so you have to supply some of that. You have to supply the leading up to, unless you just want a story that starts with the call of Peter.
Yeah.
Or the call, you miss.
And this is a story that they're doing.
Yeah.
And as long as it's true to the intent and purposes and principles, I'm not going to argue about it.
Yeah. And I think as we continue to go, obviously you still have to take some kind of poetic license, because how did they get from here to here? The Bible just tells us they were here. Then
next thing you know.
Well, what happened from here to here?
Yeah. Something happened.
Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of throw that out there. That shouldn't alarm us, because even when you're reading, you have to fill in gaps.
Oh, you do in your head. You should.
Yeah.
Those of us who are old enough to remember imagining, such as myself. But no, we're not here to critique, is it exactly this verse, that verse, that verse, that verse, that verse? It's not.
Yeah.
It's not intended to be. Our critique will be more of, is it true to what the scriptures are wanting to get across?
I'm going to give them a little inside information.
You are?
Even the gospels.
Are you sure you want to do this?
Don't line up perfectly with the way they narrate the story of Jesus. So when you're creating one chronological story, there are even debates on, well, did this happen first or did this happen first? Did that happen first?
Yeah. There are. Even your harmonies will give little notes in there saying maybe this, maybe that. You got to put it somewhere, so you put it here. The calling of the first 4. It appears to be there are 2 of those.
Yeah.
And how does that work out? I'm not altogether sure.
Yeah. And so they've decided to kind of bring it into one in The Chosen, which is what I'm going to get in. So episode 3, it's about Jesus with the little children.
Which it was a tearjerker.
Oh man, and one of the phrases you see over and over and over again in the Gospels is the idea of having a faith of a child, being like a child, do not hinder the little children. And I think what they did was before jumping in and just scattering that throughout everywhere, they created an entire episode.
Yeah, see what it looks like.
Jesus with children.
And those are those are really kids that represent how kids really are. They're so innocent,
Yeah.
and they're so trusting, and they're so pliable, and it lets you see that. I mean, we all know that, but to see it like that is really helpful.
Yeah, Jesus is on his way, and what you're not seeing, or what you don't really get unless you really pay attention, is episode 3, when Jesus is dealing with the children, is going on the same time as episodes 1 and 2.
So he's off
Because-
doing something when this is going on.
Remember in episode 3, they said, "Hey, where were you today?" He goes, "There was a girl who
Yeah.
needed my help." Well, that was him going and cleansing Mary of all of her.
So he kind of steps into that,
Yeah,
and then he steps back into this, and the next thing you know, they're
yeah.
all together.
So it's not really till episode 4 that you really start going, "Oh, I can follow along."
yeah,
or
this
I
is
can,
starting to move.
This is biblical line, but we built the narrative.
Yeah, I'm
You're-
glad.
you're invested into the characters.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah, and but getting just episode 3, Jesus with children, I loved it, and I was mentioning to you earlier, just the facial expressions.
Yeah,
this
that
actor uses.
guy's got it going on that plays Jesus
He says so much
without saying anything.
without saying anything, and his just when he sees the kids, one of my favorite parts is when he's teaching them the Shema, or they're reciting the Shema prayer.
Yeah.
He asks when this, and he keeps looking up to heaven as if him and God got something going on.
And they do.
Looking down at the kids, he's almost tearing.
Yeah, he's like, see, they got it.
Yeah, and the innocence of children is something the church, I think, needs to really embrace.
You have Nicodemus, who gets a fair bit of background, but Nicodemus is like head man, teacher of Israel, and he says Shema, but for him to say it, for them to say it, it's like, whoa, this is so pure here.
Yeah, yeah. They do the Shema prayer in their little religious sitting.
Yeah.
And they do it out
And it's
carving wood.
Yeah, kind of perfunctory, and these are just like,
And which one
Feeling it.
is God hearing? You know, that's kind of really the story of Scripture. Is you can recite all the prayers and all the scriptures that you want,
as the Pharisees did.
but it's got to come from that childlike faith,
Yes.
that trust in
Yes,
Jesus.
yes.
Obviously, it's got to go to mature man. You know.
Well,
maturity.
yeah, but you got to bring that with you. You can't abandon it.
So okay, so that's kind of episode 3. That's kind of really what you get out of all the episodes.
Jesus and children.
You hear some John the Baptist stuff going
Yeah,
on.
kind of in the distance. Just like he's out there. He's doing stuff.
We're definitely coming on the tail end of John the Baptist ministry.
Yes.
He's already been. Everyone kind of already know. Andrew's already heard of him. You know, Crazy Man John. Is
Yeah, and he looks crazy when you see him at the end, which he probably did.
Yeah. I mean, you look at the way he's described.
I know he's
People
a
like this
kind
man's
of
different.
kind of a recluse out there in the wilderness. And Jesus says, there was a townie and I did stuff with people. He's out there doing all this, and you don't want either one of us.
Yeah. So they decided to go with craftsmen more so than
Carpenter.
carpenter.
And really, the word incorporates things like being a stonemason and all. It's a much more expansive term than just what we think of as a carpenter.
Yeah, we think of a carpenter as he builds homes.
Yeah.
And he works with wood.
Got the saw out there. Yeah.
Working with wood.
But he would have worked with stone. He's growing up close to a town that's never mentioned, Sepphoris, which tons of buildings going there. Every carpenter and their dog would have been over there building. So he probably was. And if you look at what was built, what Herod builds, he doesn't build junky stuff.
No.
You have to have expert craftsmen doing stuff like that.
Yeah. One of my favorite little tidbits they threw in there is when he's critting that lock and key. And when he finishes it, he says, "It is good."
It is good. Yeah,
And
because he only does good stuff.
Yeah. Very reminiscent, obviously, of Genesis.
Yes.
And, but so that's kind of episode 3. Jumping into episode 4, we've kind of scattered throughout all of this.
We got Simon with his angst over owing Roman taxes and trying to turn his people in, but he can't quite bring himself to do it. And
Yeah.
it's the 11th hour, 12th hour probably, and they're going to come and get his stuff and arrest him. His wife's just figured out what he's doing, and she's all bummed out over it. And well,
This is kind of the typical Peter that we see
Yeah.
later. That's what we're learning. That's really what you're learning. You're learning more about the character of Peter than you are. Don't get caught up in sometimes, well, did that happen? Did that not happen?
Yeah.
What you're seeing is Peter sometimes acts before he thinks.
yes.
He has good intentions.
And then he gets into it and realizes,
and then, he's kind of having to backtrack a little.
yeah,
But the cool thing is his brother, Doug, gets mad at him. His wife, Doug, gets mad at him. Zebedee and James and John, they're there to help.
at the end of the day, they pull together.
They pull together. their family, their community.
Family can be messy.
Your community, you're seeing the community feel,
Mm-hmm.
and then it brings them all together, I think, perfectly for Jesus then to step in and call them the way, Luke chapter 5 kind of shows us.
And when the sons of Zebedee, this is cutting to the end, want to know if they should go on and follow Jesus or should they do this and that. And he smiled and he said, "This is the person we've been praying for all of our lives. You don't have to worry about supper. Go on."
Yeah. When I tell Mom this news,
yeah, it'll be all right.
It'll be all right. She's okay.
Yeah.
She'll be okay. But just all of their, like I said, getting back to the kind of the facial expressions, Peter's slow, at first he's kind of thinking this Jesus
He's got an
attitude.
Crazy. He's got an attitude.
He's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But as Jesus starts talking and preaching from the boat,
we don't need a lamb. We need fish.
yeah. Well, and you know what? Sometimes people are wondering. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of getting back to us preachers. Mm-hmm. We talk about, hey, trust God, trust God. Well, it can be difficult when financial ruin, family issues,
you got
death,
fired in the middle of the night or something.
Well, God, I've trusted.
Yeah, here I am. What's up?
Where are you at?
Yeah, but what is done?
And, where's the real stuff we can grasp and see?
Mm-hmm.
And God always pulls through.
He does.
He pulls through as long as you keep, you keep
hanging there.
Him. And Peter witnessed that. And as soon as he starts pulling the water and all the fish come in.
Yeah, because he's been pulling nets all night. Everybody's been pulling. They hadn't got a single fish. It's sad. They're all bummed out and ready to go to sleep. And
yeah. One of the things that I love about it is, I was telling you earlier, sometimes you read, the nets were breaking, they put it in. How long it would have taken them probably to get all that fish in, struggling, and Jesus
fills the boat up.
And Jesus is just kind of standing there like, I told you, smiling at him.
He says, I'm going to do something for you. And then, well, how about that? and he gets to pay off all his debt, and just boom.
Peter falls down.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts. Different Jesus things have portrayed this differently.
Yeah.
I think it draws from the spirit of Isaiah 6. He can't be in the presence of God. He's undone, and his people are undone because he's a sinful man. He has unclean lips. So that moment that he owns who he is.
Yeah.
With all the Peter stuff that goes in there, but he's ready to lay himself at Jesus' feet.
Yeah, and obviously they're leading up to healing Peter's mother-in-law, which is a true, that happened in Matthew chapter 8, chapter 9. He heals Peter's mother-in-law.
she's in the background coughing and stuff.
So you haven't met her yet, and people are like, well, we never met Peter's wife. Well, we know Peter had to have a wife for him to have a mother-in-law.
Why would you have a mother-in-law if you didn't have a wife?
Yes, and so they've supplied Eden. Named her Eden, which I think is an interesting choice.
It is.
A good choice, but I'm loving it. I love the dynamics of it.
It's great acting.
Yes. Here's what you don't do, and here's what I listened to a devotional not too long ago, and it wasn't here, of someone was talking about when Jesus did X, Y, Z, and I can tell they watched The Chosen because they used The Chosen's version of the script. Don't take it as scripture.
No.
Go back here to verify.
Ground
go back
it.
here to ground. But just allow it to introduce you to maybe a different Jesus than what has been preached to you, presented to you. A real Jesus who has his serious moments. He loves children. He jokes. He laughs at
but
jokes.
But he can get in your face.
Yeah, and he's going to do that. He's going to do that as well. And last thing, I like Peter's joke right at the end. He goes, me and you we could make a good business out of this.
Yeah, I know. We could do this every day and become fabulously wealthy. And Jesus gives him the look.
And that's when he goes into, I'm going to make you a fisher of men.
It's much
men
more important.
Are much more important. And that's kind of a story for us. It's just,
Yeah, all these things that distract us, the mission is the important thing.
Yeah, and that's the chosen. What are you chosen for? What are you chosen to do? What is our mission? Our mission is to go and to preach the gospel.
Right. And if we have to drop our nets and leave our boats to do it, that's what we do.
Okay, and one last. What do you think about Matthew so far?
I kind of like him, but I kind of don't. I have him pictured more as a robust person. This guy's a wimpy, doughy kind of a guy. It works in a way because of the way they got him set up with nobody likes him because he's a tax collector and got to have protection and the Romans are getting on his case every once in a while. And then they're going to use him to be a stooge.
Yeah.
And I mean, I like that, but I thought I wasn't going to like Simon Peter. I like him now. I mean, I like the way they're doing him.
Yeah.
I'm still not there with. I mean, I'm not against it, but Matthew's, I'm having more trouble with him.
So where it sold.
Where are you with Matthew?
Where it sold me with Matthew is in a future episode.
Okay.
When Jesus actually asked Matthew, "Bring me into your home." He's got
the banquet. Yeah.
Peter, they're all at his house.
Yeah, yeah.
Where Jesus officially calls Matthew.
Mm.
And you'll see some of his. I don't take no crap from nobody. Like him and Peter constantly
Okay.
go back,
whacking
and forth,
each other.
They're gonna keep going back and forth.
Okay. I could see where he had that kind of child of privilege, don't mess with me attitude.
Yeah. Well, and to be a tax collector,
You got to be a little.
you gotta be a little different, especially as a Jew. There's something has had to have happened that has led you there, and they chose to not like. He was in a financial situation, so he chose this.
Yeah.
But that he's a numbers guy.
Yeah,
He's a math guy.
that's what he
'cause
does.
He's probably got some.
He's an accountant, for goodness sakes.
And we got to remember that the Asperger's, autism. And I think that's what they're trying to represent.
And
that's been around for a while.
Yeah,
it's not like it
has.
just came
Popped
up in
up,
our generation.
That makes sense.
So
yeah.
they're kind of using
that.
And imagine being someone who struggles with Asperger's or autism, or who's on the spectrum somewhere,
Yeah, yeah.
and feels like we
Nobody
never get any
can-
representation in these stories. Well,
There you go.
they chose to give them some.
That makes more
representation.
sense to me.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So I like that. But anyway, there's kind of our unfiltered, I guess.
It was unfiltered, all right.
Yeah. We try not for these. We try not to plan them too much because
We didn't plan this?
well, we planned to do
Well,
it.
yeah,
but
no, we didn't plan anything but other than we were
right.
going to do it.
Because I like to hear, the raw, real.
What are we getting out of this?
We watched it. What's our first impressions?
I like that too.
And the cool thing is as we go, a lot of the stuff that's happening in these episodes make more sense as we go.
Yeah, from what you told me there about Matthew, that makes more sense
Matthew
to
and
me now.
Nicodemus, and then so I'm watching them obviously for my second time, and I'm going, that's why.
You see different things.
That's why they did that. 'Cause
Kinda
at
like
first
read
you're
the
kind of like, what? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? And so give it some time.
Sort of like a mystery. When you get to the end, a lot of things make sense.
Follow it with us, and hoping to do these more regular.
At the worst of it, it's better than almost anything else you're going to see about Jesus.
Yeah, that's the thing. You're out there watching all these other shows.
Yeah, it's a
You're like, well, I can't
wasteland.
watch this because it's not biblical enough for me. Well, then turn off everything else because this is clean.
It is very clean.
I think you're learning a
Wholesome.
lot of good
Acting,
very good acting.
good set designs. I mean, this whole thing's just quality
I'll
stuff.
be honest with you. My biggest complaint about Christian production is Christian production.
Yeah, it's like, oh, there they go again.
It's
Bless
so
their hearts.
corny.
Mhm.
It's so bad acting because they're getting low budgets.
Yeah, no, this
This
is
is high budget.
quality stuff.
Good stuff. So anyway, maybe we'll come up with. I'm gonna get some chosen gear and we'll.
Yeah, we need to get our robies and everything.
Yeah. So,
One-piece garments.
but let us know what you think
Yeah.
about our review of Chosen 3 and 4. And once again, as the story goes, we want to start kind of following along a little more.
Yeah, we're going to get more biblically robust here.
Yeah, and see what's going on. So, because there are some episodes that come up that I'm like, I don't know if I like that. So we're gonna. We're
We're going to tell you what we feel.
when we get there. But we love you.
Yes, we do.
We hope that you guys have a great day. And if you are anywhere in the area tonight, we have Bible study Wednesday night, Lenore City Church of Christ at 6:30.
Yes, we do.
Right?
That's just what it is.
We did change time.
Yes,
so
it's
6:30.
hard to keep up with all that. But yes,
You're teaching a class.
I am. You're teaching a class.
I got a class, so throw us down. And
Kiddos got classes.
yeah, so we love you.
Yes, we do.
God bless.
Bye-bye.